and work is underway now to further disseminate these documents in the UN organization and other international structures. The document is here available with us. You can get your copies from the head of our information service. And what it mentions is that there have been many violations and crimes violating by Azerbaijan the 93 convention as of January this year. Its commitment within those conventions are fully delivered on by Artsakh, whereas Azerbaijan is violating the conventions, although it is a member of the UN and the so-called recognized state. Let me mention that our permanent representatives are actively working in an emergency regime along the following lines. In the political domain, they're working with various organizations, politicians, and statesmen. As a result, you see that a number of statements have been published and made public in defense of Artsakh. And in these statements, Azerbaijan's aggression is condemned against Artsakh. We may say that if we speak geography, there are statements from Southern America by parliamentarians and statements from Northern America, from Europe. There are statements from Australia and elsewhere. So one may safely claim that we have succeeded to organize at every continent our friends' response through our permanent representations. As a result, we also have certain success in the information plane. The next dimension is to work with various media outlets clarifying the position of Artsakh, issuing and disseminating information about what transpired in early morning September 27, and in the meantime, within the last 24 hours and more. Our representative offices are also pursuing another dimension, so-called, which we could call as follows: coordinating work with our diaspora structures. You know that our compatriots in foreign countries, our diaspora structures, have expressed a desire to be of use for Artsakh and its people in any way they can, and this work requires a certain amount of coordination, so our representatives are doing that as well. Within the last 24 hours, the most important political statement is by, in our assessment, the State Department of the United States of America. This statement stands out in that it not only makes a call to halt military activity and move on to negotiations, but at the same time it mentions that the involvement of third countries into this conflict is impermissible. Our assessment is that this is a call to Turkey, and it must be heard and play a role in this succession of events. You know that President Trump responded to a journalist's question stating that they're taking every effort to appease the situation in the region. There's also a similar statement available by the candidate for president's office, Biden, and all other renowned statesmen in the United States are speaking for peace. There is another statement that we received from the Netherlands at the Parliament. In the Standing Committee on Foreign Relations, they discussed two resolutions and adopted them by the respective standing committees, and these resolutions condemn, make a call first. The Parliament makes a call to its own government to submit an ultimatum to Azerbaijan. You know that Azerbaijan conducts negotiations with the European Union along the strengthening the partnership and cooperation, and a number of MPs of the European Parliament have undertaken this initiative, this step, demanding that the government of Netherlands presents an ultimatum to the government of Azerbaijan and, if necessary, undertake efforts to hold or suspend these negotiations with Azerbaijan over the partnership agreement. The second resolution requires that the government uses every available platform to make a call to Turkey and other states to refrain from intervening in the conflict underway in Nagorno-Karabakh. This is an interesting document in this respect. It has still to be voted on September 30th. And let's hope that the Dutch Parliament shall adopt both of these resolutions in a plenary. In general terms, I have to mention that within these recent days, almost, well, let's leave Turkey aside, but all other statements by and calls by a number of states and their representatives are converging on the following acknowledgement: that this conflict has cannot be resolved through force and has to be resolved through politics without the use of force. This position is fully in line with the official positions of the Republic of Artsakh and the Republic of Armenia. So I'm willing to take your questions now. The position expressed in the statement by the State Department is known. What is your vision of the Russian position on the Azeri aggression? That's the first question. And the second, is there adequate work underway through diplomatic channels to address international platforms and institutions to display the aggressive position of Turkey? I'll start with the second one. Both the Ministries of Foreign Affairs of Artsakh and the Republic of Armenia, in a coordinated manner, undertake every effort along these dimensions. We maintain daily communications. I communicate several times a day with Foreign Minister Manatsakanyan. We coordinate our efforts and work in order to stand up for our interests and attain our goals. As for the Russian position, you may remember that in the wake of the Tavush events, there was a statement published by Russia where they made a call for third parties to refrain from intervening in this conflict. In the current situation of aggression by Azerbaijan and Turkey's involvement, there has not been yet such a statement to the same effect, although the Turkish involvement is far more salient and protruded. They've taken part in joint military exercises. Some of their units have stayed behind. In this respect, one may expect and hope that a similar statement to that made by the State Department or the Dutch Parliament, that it is intending to adopt. We shall hope that this trend will continue. There are certain messages in today's statement by Dmitry Peskov. There were certain messages, yes, but I ascribe importance to that one of his statements where he also made a call and said that at this point in time the most important would be the cessation of hostilities and steering the resolution of the situation or discussions around it into a peaceful track. So he too is for this alternative. In this respect, one may welcome it, but of course you are entitled to expect more. Thank you. There is information from early this morning that Georgia is turning back Russian military cargoes intended for Armenia. There is information circulating to this effect, but there has been no official confirmation. Can you somehow comment on this? And if that is the case, those cargoes are now rerouted through the Caspian Sea and Iran, basically. One has to use whatever routes are available. And the fact that Georgia prohibits transit of military cargo through its territory, there's nothing new about it. There's nothing to comment about it. They've been doing that before. Such information has been circulating about rerouting traffic through, whereas Israeli cargo intended for Azerbaijan is allowed to transit through Georgia. Maybe they have respective agreements to that effect. I am not justifying this. Of course, I would have liked both for the rail link through Russia to get to Armenia and Artsakh and transport cargo for us, but we need to factor in Georgian-Russian relations and Georgian-Israeli relations here. That's what maybe this is relating to. Other questions, please? There is information that the UN is intending to hold discussions around this conflict. So what would be your expectations from this? And are we working towards steering it in the right direction? Not to get something similar to the 93 resolution. And the second question about the Syrian combatants. The international community does not seem to be inclined to accept it as a fact. They asked for factual corroboration. Does Artsakh possess factual corroboration of these claims? As for the discussions at the UN platform, I don't know about Artsakh. I do not have any information about that. I knew that our position, both of the Republic of Artsakh and the Republic of Armenia, is that the only format of discussions of this conflict is the OSCE Minsk Group co-chairs forum under their aegis. And you know that Azerbaijan has always been attempting to transfer this discussion onto different platforms, and we were always against it. So I do not see a prospect here, at least. I apologize. I think the Estonian foreign minister has presided and proposed this motion. Our position is well known. Anything outside of the format I mentioned, I do not think would be meaningful. Especially that it was the UN that delegated this to the OSCE Minsk Group co-chair. As for stormtroopers We do have information and receive various reports from different sources through operational channels and others to this effect. It seems to me that there is a need to consolidate all this information and submit it to where it belongs. This topic, in terms of propaganda or politics, may hold a promise, but in practice, and I mentioned that in my yesterday's briefing as well, in the war between 92 and 94, Azerbaijan also brought in mercenaries from Afghanistan and other places to no avail. That did not succeed in their mission. So we're not intimidated by this. So this may be of interest in certain sense. Other to create public opinion to this effect. Is it possible to push forth this point of view? I believe that if we were to compare the resources under the disposal of Armenian parties, Artsakh, the Republic of Armenia, with those of under the disposal of the Turkish Azeri tandem, I think that considered, we succeed to show to the rest of the world as to who has unleashed or initiated this war. In this respect, there are clear arguments available and facts to the effect of the steps that Azerbaijan has been taking prior to September 27. I'm referring to the preparatory work they had carried out, and this was in the open, starting with the conscription, mobilization, information support campaign. You know, they've set up a common media platform with Turkey, alongside other information. And there is also intelligence that comes to corroborate the claim that this war, this aggression, was started by Azerbaijan. This doesn't mean that we still have nothing to do. We have to actively work together with you in order to get down this truth and make it more accessible and available to the rest of the world. Maybe this was the last question. In the press center of the Ministry of Defense, we hosted Mayilyan, the Foreign Minister of the Republic of Artsakh, and he laid down the official position of Artsakh. Thank you.